in plain. But right now, I mean, the way we are dealing is completely changed. Okay, so the customer, the supplier, the whole ecosystem has also, and it has good for everybody. So yeah, coming to your question, how the market is performing post pandemic, the market uh, demand has really shifted to emerging markets like India, and the production has also followed the demand. So in the first initial April to August period, uh, if you compare with FY21 and this FY22, earlier in FY21 there was a production or consumption rather of close to 28 million tons of steel in the same period, whereas in FY22 it is almost doubled. It is 41 million tons as of now. Okay, and courtesy and to the efforts done by our government, the rapid pace of vaccination, okay, has brought, I would say, the to been very fast. Okay, though my friend understand that during this period of lean, wherein the demand of certain uh, steel like TMT and all used to go down. However, we have not witnessed that change. I mean, it is at the same level. Rather, there is an increase in demand from the customer side. Okay. However, there have been some cases of where possibilities of slower demand due to lockdowns and increased trade protectionism, social distancing, migration, unemployment. Some issues are here and there, keep on happening. But focus is more on disruptive technology to attain greater flexibility. Okay, focus is on to have more dynamic supply chain. How we can serve at the right time at the right place. All focus has gone to that. And my submission before I end this is the top value creators will be from the rest, uh, how, keeping in mind how they effectively capture and leverage the data. So certainly data is the new oil. Okay, as we say, what would basically help us in differentiating ourselves with others would be data, and somebody who can master the data really differentiate themselves, whether whichever industry they are into. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Kush, for sharing your thoughts. I really, picked up one very key point from your statements, which is, serving the customer at the right time and at the right place, which is very, very important in today's context. And I guess, digitalization will actually enable that to a large extent, to a great extent, and that is my firm belief. I guess Vedanta is taking all the right steps, towards that. When you
And
mentioned
just
that,
to add one thing I would like to add to this. See, currently the customer has become very smart. He is looking at a one-stop solution or a turnkey solution. Okay, so suppose whether it's a Tata Ashiana model or let's say Vedanta Metal Bazaar model, everybody would come wherein they would have this all. I would have a complete visibility of end-to-end supply chain. My order processing would be on real-time basis. Apart from that, whether I'm getting those channel financing on online or not, whether I have the capability to choose a lot of channel financiers. So suppose I can have an umbrella of 5 or 6 NBFCs, and these days there are a lot of unicorns which have come up, and it's good for this industry. Okay, and at the same time, whether I have good transportation
logistics.
channel partners or logistic channel partners with me, so the customer can just drag down, select the let's say I want to buy 100 tons of wire rod, I can select a channel financer, I can select a logistic partner, and then it's a choice which we want to give to the customer. And obviously it is the right of customer to have the choice, and it is a right to provide the right quality at the right time at the right place. And obviously the price is something which a market decides.
Correct. which is very, very pertinent, in today's context. Now, let me come to Karthik, and Karthik, it would be a pleasure to hear your views as far as the market performance is concerned post-pandemic, and what are the shifts that you are noticing as far as customers' preference is concerned. Over to you, Karthik.
Thank you. Thanks. And I was listening to Kush, so I think he gave a very nice flavor of how the shifts is happening in the B2B space. So I will probably try to throw more light on the B2C space. Just to connect with the digital team. Tata Steel started to sell online way back in 2015, where one of the brands called Tata Discount launched e-commerce portal. But within a few years, we realized that it might not be a right approach to say have individual brands have their own e-commerce. It is better to start looking from the customer what their needs are, and from based on that you create a portal. So that's where the concept of a home building portal Ashiana was conceptualized, and it was launched in May 2018. So I would like to spend a little bit time on the period between May 2018 till the pandemic beginning and post the shift, because there are some interesting observations which has happened during this period. So before the pandemic, and since we had already launched Ashiana and it was picking up, so there was if I have to just summarize it into a catchword, I would say that there are from a customer, I would say it is called, I would say 3A. Okay, so the first A is like this. Before the digital person who is to build a home is to assume is somebody who's a male of the age of 35 to 45 years. But when we were when we launched Ashiana, we saw that over 40% of our sales was coming from buyers below the age of 35. So we were surprised, and when we kind of interviewed them, we realized that they were someone who was part of the family, and say probably the son or the daughter who were assisting their parents in building the home. So home building for us, we saw that which is anyone could buy steel. Otherwise, the mindset was steel is typically bought by a male and someone who's of a certain age, because they are supposed to be the ones who could handle money or visit a store and stuff like that. But I think digital has democratized that anyone in the family over the age of 18 can actually buy steel. It's so simple. The second A is about as typically organizations before digital, we used to increase reach and try to be there everywhere. And in India, you have over 19,000 pin codes. So Tata Steel is always aspiring to reach more and more pin codes in terms of physical dealer presence. You'll be surprised that today we generate more than, I think, close to 30% of revenues come from pin codes where we don't have a dealer. So the point I want to stress here is the second A, which is anywhere. You don't have to be close to my dealer. You can be in any pin code in the country, and you can place an order, and we can deliver the steel to you. So that's the second A, which I would like to mention. And the third is when before the digitalization of steel was happening, you want to buy steel, you go to a steel store or a mandi. It's typically open between 8 a.m. or probably 10 a.m. to 6 a.m. And when we studied the data, we were seeing 20% of our sale was coming after office hours, which was between 7 and morning 7. So we spoke to some customers, and we realized that there are many customers who were typically working professionals, and so they used to work during the day. At evening, they used to speak to their contractor, and he will give the details of the steel required, and they used to log the order. So the third A is anytime. So what it has done is 3 is like anyone can buy steel from anywhere at any time. I think this was what we learned before the pandemic. Post pandemic for us, I would again put it into 3 parts. The first has been that customers. So if you look at any purchase process, it's got 2 parts. One is, I would say, research, and then the purchase. And the purchase is what we talk about e-commerce, right? But since people had so much time during the pandemic, work from home, and they are now researching online also for steel. So if you go to Ashiana, e-commerce is one part of it, but a lot of our traffic is going into the design of homes, into the metal estimator, searching for service providers. So a lot of the research is moving, and I think the most brands are also witnessing that. The second shift that we've seen post the pandemic is that before the pandemic, almost 99% of our sales was cash on delivery. Because steel is an expensive item. Typically, to build a home, you need at least 2 to 3 lakhs of steel. I think this is the lower limit. You need much more. And we were figuring out how to nudge customers to buy, through online. We had, a credit card and debit card and other options. So we then tied up with HDFC, I think sometime towards October of last year, and we launched a cashback scheme on the portal. And you will not believe, really picked up, and today close to about, I guess, 7 to 10% of our revenues are coming. So people are more comfortable buying through, I would say credit and debit, or I would call it digital payments, provide the nudges there, and that's true. And slowly I see that also shifting. Last but not the least point I want to mention is that we are seeing definitely a shift towards more online purchases. So before the pandemic, Asiana contribution to our overall revenues was about 2 to 3%. And last year, when I'm talking about FY21, it's moved to about 7 to 8%. And I think this year, the way it looks like it's probably hit around 10%. That shows that customers, and I think what Kush also talked about, are more comfortable buying online. The second part is the amount of the purchase, the stickiness of the customer online is also high. Because we track our sales offline as well, and we know how much of tons of steel they buy. But when we look at the online average sales, it's close to 50% more, which means that the loyalty of the consumer is also going up online as well. So that's what I just want to quickly summarize. Before the pandemic, we realized the 3A, which is anyone can buy from anywhere and anytime. I think that's the biggest selling point for us to go digital. And the last 1 year, first has been that we are seeing definitely customers spending more time on the research. So the entire customer decision journey is shifting online. Right from the research to the finance and everything is moving online. Just not the purchase part, even the research. That's the first thing. Second thing is they're willing to pay through digital payments like credit card, debit card, provide the nudges there. And last but not the least, the contribution. It's all leading to the contribution of steel online sales going up for the organization. And I think that's a trend most companies are seeing. So we're definitely seeing the benefits of customers, shifting the purchases online, even in a category like steel.
Right. Thank you, Karthik, for sharing such insights. I mean, it is well understood that at the end of the day, if you are not able to provide that C factor, which is the convenience factor to the customer, it is very difficult for you to retain that customer. So how do you increase the stickiness of that customer, as you correctly mentioned, by offering not only a portal from where they can buy, but at the same time you are also able to provide the other ancillary services which will enable their buying decision. So very, very good point, very pertinent point in today's context. Now, related to that, if I may ask Kush, that what is your thoughts as far as the digitalization is concerned in the global perspective? As I'm sure that the markets are far more matured there, and they must have adopted the digital processes maybe 5 or 10 years back. And so what is your thought as far as, if you can share some insights and glimpses with us?
One thing.
Over to you, Kush.
So thanks, Karthik. So one thing I would like to highlight from what Karthik also mentioned. See, one thing is very important. Why the customer would go on a online portal and purchase, apart from the ease of or the stickiness. What we are saying, it's the transparency. Okay, it's the transparency of the prices. See, in sort of a ferrous market, what we are operating, unlike a non-ferrous market where we have definitive indices like LME and all, the ferrous is something where we don't have real time.
Kush, just 1 minute, if you may please turn on your video, please.
So actually there is a bandwidth sort of an issue. So I didn't wanted to disrupt the flow
Okay,
of.
no, not a problem.
So any,
Please continue.
yeah. So one thing is, apart from, I was just saying, it's the transparency of the prices. Okay, the benchmarking of the prices. One is very easy to access. Okay, so right now what is happening is, in the ferrous as compared to non-ferrous, where there is a definitive benchmarking of some of the benchmarks like LME and etc. But however, in ferrous, it is, I would say, the lead which has been taken up by companies like Tata, and obviously Tata has been obviously there, which have given up that option to the customer to tell them what is the right price of the material which I am buying. Okay, so that is very important. So which has basically lured a customer, I would say, or enticed the customer to approach that portal. And the similar sort of things are happening on the international front. While we always say that China is something which is governing the entire international market, but however, at the same time, there are there are companies which would like to have a bulk buying sort of from such portals. So, for example, I think if you would have heard of a company called Klockner, okay, so that started selling uh, prime steel online for quite some time back. It's a Germany-based company, and it is one of the front runners in online selling. And then I would say, its distribution and the service network is at around 140 locations and in approximately 13 odd countries. Okay, so one thing is we have to see what is happening across the world. Okay, whatever the best practices are happening across the world, let us try to learn from them. Let us try to bring it in our country. And while we while there is a vision from our honorable prime minister of Atmanirbhar Bharat, okay, so that thing can happen while we learn the best practices from outside and try to implement in our uh, in, in our country. And you would be knowing that there are too many SMEs or MSMEs which are operating in our country. Those companies are basically, I would say, making world class material. Only thing is, they want right accessibility of a right quality or product. And I would say this online portal or an online medium has reduced the differentiation of B2B, and it has gone to a B2C level. Okay, so for example, somebody is producing, let's say, a crankshaft. Okay, so they would be buying some alloy steel or something like a Great Pearl CK45 or something else. Okay, so it's all visibility, what price they want to buy, whether they want to buy from directly from bulk, I would say, a trader, or they want to buy directly from the company. So that basically, that gap has been reduced and everybody feels connected. I am buying directly from the company. So that connection or that close interface has happened. And then obviously, with such nearness or with such closeness, of I would say, that feeling of buying directly from a reputed firm like Vedanta or Tata would anyhow empower these SMEs or MSMEs to do their best and produce the best, and at the same time compete with the global players, whichever place they are from. So I would say it is the right, and as a leader, Vedanta and we felt as a responsibility to develop this portal. And then obviously Tata is one of the leaders which has set the benchmark. And yes.
Right. Thank you, Kush, for sharing your thoughts as far as the global footprint is concerned with respect to digitalization. Yes, Glockner, and then there are many other such examples like Oil, uh, who have actually pioneered as far as online sales is concerned. And I mean, it is an established, proven, way of selling as far as online portals are concerned, and which is known to the entire world. I think India is fast catching up, and I'm confident that with Vedanta's initiative, it has been Vedanta has been basically got an early mover advantage as far as B2B sales is concerned through the online platform, and I'm sure we will see a lot of traction on this portal. Now, coming back to you, Karthik, as we all know that retail has been a very, very strong focus, as far as Tata Steel is concerned. And over the past 20 years, I think the way they have modeled their, channel network is exemplary. So, we would love to hear from you. What is your, as far as your journey is concerned with this, foray into retail? So if you can please share with us your thoughts.
True, Sanya sir. I think it's been 20 years since Tata Steel launched retail in a very formal way, because this was way back in the year 2000 when two flagship brands, Tata Tiscon and Tata Shakti, was launched. And in fact, last year we just celebrated the 20th year. And if I completed 15 years in Tata Steel, so and I spent most of my time in retail. But if I have to capture the essence of this journey, I would put it in three phases that the Tata Steel has traversed this journey. So, and I like to keep it very simple so that it's easy for everyone to understand. Because in marketing, we all remember Kotler, Philip Kotler. And so the first phase was all about I would call it the product, which is the four P. And then you wanted to make sure that the basics are in place. Because prior to that, steel did not have many simple things like a proper stamping, and I think Kush also talked about the pricing transparency. Where is the market? Where is the dealer? I mean, it was all mandi kind of a sales. It was a very commodity kind of a sale. So I would say the first phase, probably Tata Steel just focused on putting these four P's or the basics in place, which is to have a standardized product with particular measurements, with a nice packaging and the proper branding, embossing as per the standards. Pricing, we had a concept called recommended consumer price, which is we don't have an MRP, but if you go to any of our store and if you go to our online, offline stores, the prices of the product, we maintain it the same. So transparency in pricing, the trust is built that way. Third, promotion. So as an organization, we believe in more of, I would say, the below the line and more ground level promotions, because you got to create awareness about this change and why a customer should pay a premium for this. And of course, last is what I talked about, the place in terms of expansion. So reach was the mantra that we drove. So once we reached this basic, I would say, putting the basics in place, which is a product, then the next phase was more, I would call it the softer aspect of, and then the next three P's, if I were to put it, then the first P was about processes. I think Somu sir and Kush, you talked about it. Retail is in detail. We keep saying that retail is detail. It's about how you treat your customers, what is your customer engagement process, what is your channel management process. So everything needs to have a process. It cannot be at the whims and fancies of people. So putting in place a lot of processes became the focus. People, because you have team members, you have your ecosystem of channel partners, the ecosystem of other influences. So how you build them, how you build the capabilities, how you motivate them, and how do you make sure you retain them. So this was the second P of people, and the third P was about the physical infrastructure. So it was not just important about where you sell, what store, but what kind of experience you provide, what kind of a service center you have, because you have some steel which needs to be cut and sent, so value added steel. So what kind of a service infrastructure, what's the distribution infrastructure? So this was the second phase. I would say the more of a softer phase, mostly the brand driven stuff that we did. The third phase, if I have to put it, I would put two P's here again. This is about partnerships, the first P. Because see, as organizations, you realize that you reach a certain market share portion in your category. But today, it's all about being, how you partner with others. For example, in the Tata Steel, we have a partnership program called Tata Basera. So where a person who's building their home can get benefits from 6 other Tata Group companies. This includes if you want to buy Voltas, ACs, Chroma, insurance, Tata Sky Solar, Tata Power Solar, Tata Sky. So all these companies and Tata Steel have come together, form a partnership, and then giving a benefit to the customer. So this would have not happened. Tata Steel could have not done it on its own. It has to form partnership. And the second piece about platforms. So if you, I think Kush also mentioned about Ashiana, and similarly what is Vedanta creating, right? It's a platform. So the shift is now moving towards platform. So if you were to just quickly put it in, summarize it, the first phase is all about the product. The harder part of it, I would call it the hardware. Put the 4 P's in place. The second part was the softer aspects, branding, relationship building, people, processes, which is, I would say, the softer aspect of the business. The third phase, we are moving now into a digital world. That's very, very clear. Whether the way you form your partnerships, the way you create platforms, I think that's the future going forward. And I would say, a lot of possibilities and a lot of excitement, and and I think the industry is moving in the same direction. I heard about Vedanta's plans as well. So these are my journey in a nutshell, and I must say that Tata Steel has been been able to build this whole concept of retail, and it's a focus area. A lot of products and brands have been added to the portfolio, and the journey continues.
Right. Thank you, Karthik, for sharing your thoughts. Yes, indeed, the entire industry is now slowly moving towards the platform business, because obviously it has its own advantage, transparency, efficiency, and so on and so forth. So, Kush, my next question to you would be that what is your plan with respect to foray into the retail space? What is Vedanta's plan? And where do you want to see yourself 5 years down the line?
Yeah, so basically, I would like to congratulate primarily Tata Steel in setting this precedent of TMT into retail by reaching the every nook and corner of the country. So, first of all, many congrats to them, and that they have shown this path to all the peers, and all people have followed them. And then coming to our my company called ESL Steel Limited, we have also thought of on similar lines. And then, as Karthik mentioned, he has worked on the 4 P's. We are working on the 4 C's of Kotler. So customer, and then we are just looking at all the value creation, what we can do, and the plans are on the anvil. And very soon you would see us launching our own brand into our mother states, to start from Bihar and Jharkhand, and you will see it very soon. So the plans are already on the anvil, and we have done our internal research. We have done all the groundwork at Jharkhand level, and then Bihar level. We would be starting it up very soon. It's only a matter of time. I'm just again why am that? Yeah.
Intermittently, I lost your Kush because there was I think, connection issue. Not an issue at all. So,
Was I audible?
yeah, I mean, you were audible for most part of the time, but briefly, I think towards the end, we just lost you for a couple of seconds.
I was just mentioning that very soon we will also see Vedanta launching its retail brand in the states, in our mother states of Bihar and Jharkhand. So that plan is on the anvil, and very soon a formal announcement would happen into this. Though informally, I can share this thing only as of now.
Okay. Thank you, Kush. Now coming back to Karthik. Karthik, if you can share with us what is Tata Steel's plan with respect to the overall sales digitalization, because the way it is happening now across industries, until unless you are digitally savvy, you will actually lose out at the end of the day. And knowing Tata Steel, because in most of the areas they have been pioneers, so we would love to hear from you what is the plan of Tata Steel with respect to the various digital initiatives are concerned, and the overall sales, if you can kindly brief us.
So, I think congratulations, Kush, in advance for launching the new brand. Looking forward to seeing it. It's nice to get more I would say, reputed organizations launching, plans, really makes the category also, become much more formal and efficient. Coming to the plans of digitalization, if I have to just put it in a very simple word, like I think what Kush also talked about, it's about starting from the customer. So earlier the thinking was you produce steel, you have a channel partner, distributor, dealer, and then you move. Last was the customer. I mean, you were going from manufacturing and taking the product. Now the thinking is start with the customer, uh, understand what the purpose for which they're buying your product. That's the customer decision journey. There are various partners or stakeholders who are part of the journey, whom you call as the ecosystem. So if I had to put it very simply, just think of a iceberg. The iceberg, you would see a part which is visible, and there's a part beneath the surface. So if I were to take the example of a B2C, the iceberg which is visible is Ashiana, for example. So you will see that. You will, as a consumer, you go to the site and then you log in and you see, place your order, and then you can see the tracking and all of that. So that's visible to everybody. But what's below is a separate, platform which basically links all the players involved in, delivering the product to you. So if you place an order, then there is a it goes to the company, and the company gives it to the distributor and the dealer, and then there's a mason, and all of that people involved. So there's an ecosystem which is below, and that ecosystem is being linked. So there is a platform which is being created there as well. So if you just go to Google Play Store, or you will see an app called Ashiana, which is the app for a consumer, which is a visible one, and then there is an app called Sampurna, which is what are the one below, wherein we integrate everybody. And there are this is for B2C. Similarly, is there for what I think Kush also mentioned, for SMEs and for B2B customers. So the whole story is understand the customer decision journey, whomsoever is involved in that journey in terms of stakeholders. Make sure you digitize everybody. So digitization is just not about digitizing the organization Tata Steel; it's digitizing the entire ecosystem. So the customer has a very seamless journey as she traverses the home building or any steel purchase process. So that's the whole thing. And but it's a long story, and there's a lot to learn from each other. So glad to hear about Vedanta's plans, and wishing you guys all the very best. But I think together this transformation is being built this time across the industry. So I think every steel company is realizing that, and I think we're all moving. And the whole idea, the customers are going to benefit, and all the partners are going to benefit from this exercise.
Yeah, to add to what Karthik just mentioned, I'll just take 30 seconds. So, see, the idea here we are speaking more on, I would say, B2C front, but B2B buyers, for example, just to give you an example, called a company, let's say KEC. Okay, KEC is buying zinc, it is buying aluminum, it is buying copper, it is buying steel. Okay, so the idea is to give an entire bundle of solutions via my online portal. Okay, so from my perspective, from Vedanta perspective, I am producing everything what all the industries, whether it is small, big, or larger corporates, are producing. So our idea is to have a one-stop solution to everybody. Even Tata Steel, for example, they buy zinc, or let's say Tata Motors, they buy something else, copper, etc. So the idea is to give all solutions at one place. So it is not that we are speaking of B2C. Obviously, yes, our motto is to reach to the every nook and corner of the country. But yes, it is for the advantage of the big corporates. So we have solutions at one space, one place, and they would be having less hassles to negotiate with too many people in getting their orders. So that is also a plus, I would say.
Yes, sure. I mean, just to add to what Karthik said, I still remember when we, got into this Ashiana, journey about 4 years back. We started on a nibble food. I think the transaction was in the region of a few crores, 4 or 5 crores. And last year, I think Ashiana clocked almost a transaction value of more than, I think, 700 crores of sales happened on the platform. So
Yeah,
this,
700 plus.
yes. So this platform has, the digital platform has huge, pull factor, and gradually, the we are seeing the goalpost, completely shifting from the customer's perspective, because they are basically wanting that same, experience, and that is only possible through such, digital platforms. And I'm sure Vedanta also, with the launch of Metal Bazaar, it will go a long way. We have already clocked more than, I think, 150,000 tons of sale in last 1.5 months. So you can imagine the pull factor of this kind of platforms. So, taking a cue from there, so Karthik, if I may ask you, what are the, top 3 or 4 messages that you would like to give to our, audience today? Our audience mostly comprises of, steel buyers, then there are, bankers, then there are financial analysts. So what are the, key messages that you have for them?
Okay, so just based on, I was reflecting, on the question that you, asked Sanjay sir. So first is that industry like steel is going to undergo a transformation very similar to what has happened, say, in an FMCG segment, which have. So when we did branding, we looked at FMCG. So FMCG already has started branding. Levers have been doing it for ages, so we did that. Now, when you look at digital as well, I see a similar kind of transformation happening. And one is definitely, for steel, it used to be a single kind of a channel, which is the traditional distribution dealer, sub-dealer model for a B2C or whatever this thing. But if you look at an FMCG, they have a traditional channel, then they have the organized retail, uh, then they have the marketplace model, which is Amazon, Flipkart. And then there's a concept called D2C, which is direct to consumer. So I believe that every industry, whether it is steel, cement, we will see this kind of, I think, route to markets emerging, because consumer is now becoming slow and so becoming the king, actually, finally, whether it's an individual home builder or they are going to demand the same level of service, whether they buy steel or they buy a TV online, or they buy a clothing from a shopper stop or any of the stores. So that's one thing which I think is going to happen, and that is going to lead to more formalization, more transparency, more efficiency in the steel industry. The second thing I would like to mention is that every player in this, I would say, value chain needs to be very clear on the value that you provide. Uh, I was part of a session sometime back wherein this person talked about the value which a traditional distributor would provide, or somebody supplying to a dealer or an SME. So typically they do the demand aggregation or order generation. Second is they offer credit. Third is they offer warehousing, and fourth they do the delivery. But I think Kush mentioned there are now startups which has come in credit, right? You have Cred and so many other Udan and so many other companies. For logistics, you have delivery and Safex, and similarly for warehousing, there are enough and more. So there are organizations which have come. So effectively, the role of a distributor or dealer is now into order generation, because for the other aspects there are agencies. So a dealer might or a customer might look at other places. So it's very important to keep evaluating the value that you're creating in the value chain, because the industry is getting disrupted. Every industry is getting disrupted, and one needs to be always on the watch in terms of the value creating. Uh, so I don't want to sound very, so when we look at this like a threat or a challenge, the opportunity is immense. If you are a person who is in the pre-digital era selling, your area of sales used to be a 5 kilometer radius or a 10 kilometer radius. Now, thanks to the various digital platform which has come, you will be able to sell across the country literally. And I think Push talked about, and I think Somusa talked about digital global as well. So I was just talking to a partner who's a traditional distributor based out of the Middle East. They are now putting a marketplace, and they are helping suppliers from India reach Middle East and Africa. So it's, I would say, it's becoming more global. It doesn't matter where you are, like I said, anywhere, any place, anytime. I think the opportunities are immense. Threats are there, but I think it can be handled. But the opportunity is immense, and I think each one of us have a great opportunity and a great responsibility to manage this transition in a very, smooth manner.
Right. Thank you, Karthik. Now I come to Kush. Kush, what are your key messages for our audience today? If you can please share with us.
So yeah, as Karthik rightly mentioned, digitization is going to be the new mantra for everybody. Okay, see, you have to eventually, you don't have to restrict yourselves to a domestic economy. You have to compete with the global economy. Okay, so digitization basically opens up new avenues, new challenges, new opportunities. Okay, so for example, government is also doing a lot of initiatives. It is taking a lot of initiatives on demand forecasting, uh, focusing on real-time dashboards, insights, and linkages across data sets like IceGate, which is an importer-exporter code database by the Director General for Foreign Trade. And a lot of pilot initiatives are going to come up, which would use alternative technologies for example, like high blast furnace productivity. And there's a huge impetus on reducing CO2 emissions, water conservations, and the world is going the ESG way, right? So, and digitization is going to make domestic steel cost and quality competitive to global standards. So the basic mantra is digitization is be there, and as soon as we basically uh, come to terms with it, whether at whatever turnover we are having, whether it is a 5 crore turnover, 500 crore, or a 5,000 crore turnover, we have to have uh, in, any baby steps we need to take, okay, in digitization, and that would eventually take us to I would say competing ourselves or making ourselves to be as one of the global players in the world. So that's my brief, because this is a tool which can enable us to uh, rise up our ranks and then compete with the best.
Right. Thank you, Kush, for sharing your thoughts with our audience. So I think we are just about almost nearing the ending line. So we will have a few questions, I'm sure, from our participants. Let me just, if I'm not able to address all the questions, at least a few we will try and, attempt through our panelists. Let me just read out the questions. Yeah, questions. Ashish, can you please help me with the questions, because I'm not able to see any.
There are two questions. So the first question is from Prashant. I'm just sending the question in the chat box to you. He's asking that slowly many steel companies will be coming up with their digital online platform to sell their products. His question is, what features of the online platform do you think are important? What features of the online platform do you think are important to keep your customers intact?
Okay. So if I may ask, Karthik to first respond, and then Kush may add to it.
So if I understood, it's about what are the features which I think you were looking at, right? So basically, when you look at online platforms, the way we looking at online platform is it's not just an e-commerce platform. It's an early engagement and e-commerce platform. And if you actually visit Asiana, you would see that. So early engagement, meaning how you want to be doing the research if you're doing any activity, whether it is building a home or you are an MSME trying to buy some product. So it depends on the ease in which you are able to navigate the site. So UI UX becomes extremely critical, and because without that, customers we see in initial days, customers used to come, but then if the navigation wasn't very user friendly, then we would see customers move out of the site. So that is the fundamental thing that you got to ensure when you have any platform coming in. The second is to keep the person engaged in the site. So in any website, the idea is to see how, because unless the person spends time, they will not transact. So to make them spend more time, what kind of content you are offering in terms of whether you offer some content to how to do the activity better. Say if you're building a home, designing, the home designs are available, metal estimators are available. So what kind of content you could provide so that the time the person spends goes up. This is on the engagement part. Then coming to the commerce part, it's how easily you can place the order. It should be very intuitive. Even today we have issues. How many steps it takes for you from clicking buy to actually getting that thing done. So how you minimize the time spent in order is something very, very critical. And the last part is the fulfillment. So it's just not about you placing an order on the site, but if you're not able to fulfill on time and keep the customer posted during the entire process, I think what I'm saying is very, very basic stuff. 4 things to look at: the UI UX, the content part to spend more time. But when it comes to the order placement, it needs to be done, in the minimum number of steps. And the last part is the delivery part of it, because the site is just not about taking an order. Customers expecting you to keep updating him or her on how much time it's going to be delivering. So these are the 4 things. Once you put this in place, then there are lots more things to worry about. But if you want to start something, at least these 4 things, the basic, you got to put it in place.
Right. Thank you. May I ask Khush to also please respond to this question?
See, actually, one thing we always say that pricing, discovery, and all those things are very important for any online portal to exist. But down the line, I see that would be a necessity. What would eventually help would be the consultative selling process. So, for example, like Tata has already started a newcomer to build his home. Okay, so they would say that this much TMT would be used in your column, this would be used in your this thing basement and all those things. So that is a sort of a consultative selling which a customer can learn. Okay, and for example, suppose we are selling pig iron on portal. Okay, so there and the guy who is using a pig iron in its foundry, it is also using coke as well. Okay, so there has to be means to educate the people how much pig iron would be required to, for example, to make 1 ton of casting. Okay, so that sort of educational mediums would improve, or would say would make the customer glue to your portal. After all, it is you have a responsibility to teach the customer also if you are selling something. So one thing is you need to be very, and at the same time would be certainly eased out with the use of uh, that would be a necessity. But I take it would be helpful in case of an online portal.
I think, Kush, we have lost you. You're not audible.
So till Hello.
Now you're audible.
Hello. So I was just mentioning that apart from the giving the right price discovery, it would be the right consultative selling techniques, which, for example, suppose if you buy something on Amazon or Flipkart, there is YouTube video there. Okay, so similarly, it is the duty of all the companies, whatever products they are selling, at least to teach the customer how and in what quantity they should use it, and how much quantity or how it would be beneficial for them, and how they would achieve the right productivity. So we have to be very transparent on it if we want to have customer with us in a longer term.
Okay. I think there are many questions which are coming in. In the interest of time, I think we will not be able to take any more questions. To all the audience, I hope you've had a wonderful experience. I had a great experience listening to these two great, dynamic leaders. And what my key takeaway from this today's session is there is increased focus on digitization by leaders like Tata Steel and Vedanta. uh, More and more customer convenience is provided, is offered, because selling the product only is not the key thing. The key thing is to give the customer a wonderful experience, buying experience, an experience which they remember lifetime. And that is how you increase the stickiness with the brand. And I guess, that is the way forward. That is how we need to do business going forward, because in this new normal, if I may say, in this new normal, uh, traditional way of sales is going to be a passe, so to say. So we will have to increasingly focus on digital sales, on efficient processes. And at the end of the day, if my customers are happy, then obviously I have a huge brand recall in the market. So that's all. I thank all the audience. I want to sincerely thank the two great panelists we've had for taking out time from your busy schedule. We all know how busy you guys are. Most of the time you keep traveling.
Thank
And
you.
it was wonderful having you all here. So stay safe
Thank you.
and stay healthy. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Thank you everybody who is attending this.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and it was fantastic, sharing our thoughts and nice connecting with you, Kush, and wishing you all the very best.
Yeah.
Thank you.